I still remember the look in her eyes when she said it. That cold, dismissive stare. If you are so insecure that you cannot handle me having male friends, then maybe you should just leave. The words hung in the air between us like a knife I had not seen coming. She expected me to back down, to apologize, to beg. But that night, I did something she never thought I would do. I actually left. And what came next? That is what really shocked her. That is what changed everything. Before I tell you how it all went down, I would love to know where you are watching this from. Drop your city in the comments below. Hit that like button and subscribe if you want to hear how a single decision can change everything. Now let me take you back to where it all started. My name is Russell, and 6 years ago I met Amanda at an outdoor concert in Austin. It was one of those perfect summer evenings where the air feels warm on your skin and the music drifts through the crowd like something you can almost touch. I was standing near the food trucks when this woman bumped into me, and her drink went all over my shirt. She looked horrified at first, then we both just started laughing. We ended up talking for the rest of the night, sitting on the grass while the band played on stage. She told me about her job in marketing, how she loved traveling to places she had never been, how she believed in taking chances. I told her about my work as a software engineer, my obsession with hiking trails, the way I could get lost in coding for hours without noticing time passing. It felt easy, natural, like we had known each other longer than just a few hours. 2 years later, we got married on a beach in California. It was a small ceremony, just close friends and family with the ocean behind us, and the sun setting in shades of orange and pink. The first 3 years of our marriage were good, stable. We had our routines, our inside jokes, our lazy Sunday mornings, drinking coffee and reading the news together. I worked from home most days, and she would come back from her office full of stories about campaigns and clients and creative battles she had won. Then, 6 months ago, her company hired a new creative director named Travis. At first it seemed harmless. Amanda would mention him during dinner. "Travis has such great ideas," she would say, twirling pasta on her fork. "Travis is really pushing us to be more innovative." I listened, nodded, thought it was nice that she was excited about work. She had always been passionate about her career, and I admired that about her. But then I started noticing other things. Small things that individually meant nothing, but together started forming a pattern I could not ignore. She began dressing differently in the mornings. More care with her makeup. New blouses I had not seen before. She would stand in front of the mirror longer, adjusting her hair, checking her reflection from different angles. When I complimented her, she would smile and say she just wanted to look professional. Fair enough. But then came the phone. She started texting more during our dinners together. I would look up from my plate and see her smiling at her screen, her fingers moving quickly across the keyboard. "Who is that?" I asked one evening. "Just work stuff," she replied without looking up. One night I walked into the living room and found her on the couch laughing at something on her phone. Not just a smile, but a real laugh, the kind that makes your whole face light up. When she noticed me, she quickly locked the screen and set the phone face down. "What is so funny?" I asked, trying to keep my tone light. "Oh, nothing. Just a meme someone sent." But the way she said it, the way her body tensed, told me it was not nothing. Then came the late nights. Amanda started coming home later and later. "We had a late meeting," she would explain, dropping her purse on the counter. "Travis wanted to brainstorm over dinner." Dinner. With Travis. I tried not to let it bother me. I told myself I was being paranoid, that she was just invested in her job, that I should trust her. But trust is a funny thing. It does not disappear all at once. It erodes slowly, like water wearing down stone, until one day you look and realize there is almost nothing left. I tried talking to her about my concerns. Gentle conversations over breakfast, asking about her day, trying to reconnect. But she would give me one word, answers her attention always somewhere else. I suggested we go out for dinner, just the two of us like we used to. She agreed, but then canceled the morning of saying something urgent came up at work. I suggested a movie night at home. She said she was too tired. Every attempt I made to reach her seemed to bounce off an invisible wall she had built between us. One Friday evening, she told me she had to go to a team dinner. I asked if I could come along, maybe meet some of her coworkers. "It is just work people," she said already halfway out the door. "You would be bored." And she left. I sat alone in our apartment, the silence pressing in on me from all sides, and I felt something crack inside my chest. That hollow feeling when you realize you are invisible to the person who is supposed to see you most clearly. The turning point came on a Saturday morning. Amanda had gone to the gym, or so she said. She left her phone on the kitchen counter, something she never did. I was making coffee when it buzzed. The screen lit up with a notification. A text message from Travis. "Last night was amazing. Cannot stop thinking about you." I stared at those words until they blurred. My hands started shaking. The coffee maker beeped behind me, but I could not move. I could not breathe. I wanted to unlock her phone to see the full conversation, to know exactly what was happening. But I did not need to. That one message told me everything. When Amanda came back 30 minutes later, her hair damp from the shower at the gym, I was still standing in the kitchen. "Hey," she said brightly, grabbing her phone. Then she noticed my face. "What is wrong?" I told her about the message. I watched her expression shift from confusion to defensiveness in seconds. "He is just being friendly," she said, her voice rising. "You are reading too much into it. This is exactly what I am talking about, Russell. You are so paranoid." I tried to stay calm. I told her how I had been feeling, how her behavior had changed, how I felt like I was losing her. But instead of listening, she turned it around on me. "Why are you so insecure?" she demanded. "I cannot have friends at work. I cannot be friendly with my colleagues. This is suffocating." The word hit me like a slap. Suffocating. As if caring about my marriage, about my wife, was some kind of character flaw. "You are being controlling," she continued. "This is why we have problems. Because you cannot trust me to have a normal professional relationship." I felt myself shrinking under her words, questioning my own reality. Was I being unreasonable? Was I imagining things that were not there? She was so confident in her anger, so certain that I was the problem. The argument escalated until she stormed off to the bedroom and slammed the door. I stood in the kitchen for a long time, then went to the living room and lay down on the couch. I stared at the ceiling all night, my mind running in circles trying to figure out what was real and what was in my head. I felt completely alone, even though my wife was just one room away. The next few weeks were worse. Amanda barely spoke to me unless necessary. She was always on her phone, angled away from me, so I could not see the screen. I noticed she had changed her password. One evening, I tried to talk to her again to salvage whatever we had left. "Can we please just sit down and talk?" I asked. She sighed heavily, like I was asking her to move a mountain. "I do not have time for this right now, Russell." And she went back to scrolling through her phone. I started paying closer attention to the small details. I checked our shared calendar, the one we used to coordinate our schedules. On the nights she said she had late meetings, there was nothing scheduled. No client dinners, no team events, just blank spaces where she said she would be working. My stomach twisted every time I looked at it. She was lying to me. Consistently. Deliberately. One night I heard her talking on the phone in the bathroom. The door was closed, but the walls were thin. Her voice was different. Softer. Sweeter. The tone she used to use with me years ago, back when things were good. I pressed my ear against the door and heard her laugh, that same, genuine laugh I had seen on her face when she was texting. "I know," she was saying. "I cannot wait either." Then silence, as she listened. "Okay. Tomorrow night. I will think of something to tell him." Him. Me. She would think of something to tell me, so she could be with someone else. I walked away from that door, feeling like a ghost. like I did not exist in my own life. I went to the bedroom and sat on the edge of the bed, and for the first time in years, I let myself cry. Not loud dramatic sobs, but quiet tears that just kept coming. I thought about the woman I married. I thought about the promises we made. And I realized that the person I fell in love with was gone, replaced by someone I did not recognize. That is when I decided I needed to know for certain. I could not keep living in this fog of suspicion and denial. I needed the truth, whatever it was. So I made a plan. The following Friday, Amanda told me she had a client dinner. She said it casually, while putting on earrings, checking her reflection in the mirror. "I will probably be home late," she added. "Do not wait up." I nodded and said okay. But this time, I was not going to just accept it. This time, I was going to see for myself. I waited until she left. Then I grabbed my car keys and followed her. I kept a safe distance, 3 cars back, my heart pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. She drove to a restaurant downtown, one of those trendy places with dim lighting and expensive wine. I parked across the street and watched her walk inside. Then I waited. 5 minutes later, a man arrived, tall, wearing a blazer, confident stride. Travis. I knew it was him, even though I had never seen him before. Something about the way he carried himself, like he owned every room he entered. I got out of my car and walked closer, staying in the shadows. Through the restaurant window, I could see them sitting at a corner table. Just the two of them. No clients, no team. Just my wife and this man leaning toward each other like they were the only 2 people in the world. I watched Travis reach across the table and put his hand over hers. I watched her smile, that radiant smile I had not seen in months. She looked happy, genuinely, completely happy. And I was not the reason. I took out my phone and snapped a photo. My hands were shaking so badly, I almost dropped it. Then I turned around and walked back to my car. I sat in the driver's seat for a long time, staring at that photo, trying to process what I had just witnessed. Part of me wanted to storm into that restaurant and confront them both. But another part of me, the part that was thinking clearly for the first time in months, knew that would accomplish nothing. So I drove home. I got there before Amanda. I sat in the dark living room waiting. Around 11 o'clock, I heard her car pull into the driveway. The front door opened. She flipped on the light switch and jumped when she saw me sitting there. "Russell, you scared me. Why are you sitting in the dark?" I turned on the lamp beside me. Then I held up my phone, showing her the photo I had taken. Her face went pale. For a second, she just stared. Then, exactly as I predicted, she went on the offensive. "You followed me. Are you serious right now? You are spying on me." Her voice was loud, angry, designed to make me feel guilty for catching her. But I was done feeling guilty. "It was just dinner," she continued. "You are making this into something it is not." I stood up slowly. "This is not just dinner, Amanda. You have been lying to me for months. You have been coming home late, texting him, constantly changing your password, so I cannot see what you are hiding. This is not friendship. This is not professional. This is you choosing him over me." She crossed her arms. "I cannot do this anymore. Your insecurity is suffocating me. I cannot breathe in this relationship." There was that word again. Suffocating. As if my pain, my feelings, my need for honesty were weights around her neck. Then she said it. The sentence that would change everything. "If you are so insecure that you cannot handle me having male friends, then maybe you should just leave." She said it with such cold certainty. Like she was calling a bluff. Like she knew I would never actually walk away. The old Russell would have apologized. Would have begged her to stay. Would have done anything to keep the marriage alive, even if it was already dead. But something in me snapped. A clarity I had not felt in months washed over me. I looked at her, really looked at her, and I did not recognize the person standing in front of me. And I realized something important. I deserved better than this. Okay, I said quietly. You are right. I will leave. Her expression changed instantly. Shock. Confusion. What? She took a step toward me. Russell, wait. I did not mean... But I was already moving. I walked past her into the bedroom. I pulled my old backpack from the closet and started packing. Clothes, laptop, my phone charger, important documents, essentials. Amanda followed me, her voice rising in pitch. Russell, stop. What are you doing? Where are you going? I did not answer. I just kept packing. She grabbed my arm. Let us talk about this. Do not be dramatic. I gently pulled my arm free. I zipped up the backpack and slung it over my shoulder. Then I grabbed my car keys from the dresser. Amanda was standing in the doorway, now blocking my path. You cannot just leave. We need to talk about this like adults. I looked at her one last time. You told me to leave if I am insecure. I am just doing what you asked. I walked past her down the hallway through the living room. She followed me to the front door. Russell, please. This is ridiculous. Where are you even going to go? I opened the door and stepped outside. The night air was cool on my face. I got in my car, started the engine, and pulled out of the driveway. In the rearview mirror, I saw her standing on the porch, her arms wrapped around herself, her face a mixture of shock and disbelief. And then I turned the corner, and she disappeared from view. I drove for 3 hours straight, not really knowing where I was going, just needing to put distance between myself and that house. Eventually, I ended up at my brother Derek's place in Portland. It was past 2 a.m. when I knocked on his door. He opened it in his pajamas, took one look at my face and said, "Come in." We stayed up the rest of the night. I told him everything. He listened without judgment, just nodded and handed me a beer. You did the right thing, he finally said. You know that, right? I was not sure I knew anything anymore. But I knew I could not go back. The next morning I made a decision. I was not going to wallow. I was not going to let this destroy me. I called a divorce lawyer and scheduled a consultation for Monday. Then, I did something Amanda would never expect. I started applying for new jobs, senior engineer positions at tech companies in Seattle, places I had always wanted to work, but never applied because Amanda did not want to leave Austin. Well, Amanda was not part of my decisions anymore. My phone blew up with calls and texts from her. I blocked her number. She tried calling from different phones. I blocked those too. She sent emails. Long, rambling messages about how she made a mistake, how nothing physical happened with Travis, how it was just an emotional connection that got out of hand, how she did not think I would actually leave. I read them once, then moved them to a folder I would give to my lawyer. I stayed with Derek for a week, sleeping on his couch, trying to figure out my next steps. During the day, I went to the gym. I ran on the treadmill until my legs burned, and my mind went quiet. I lifted weights. I pushed my body because it was the only thing I could control. And slowly, very slowly, I started to feel like myself again. Like I had been underwater for months and was finally breaking the surface. Amanda tried to reach me through Derek. She called him crying, saying she needed to talk to me, that she was sorry, that she did not mean what she said. Derek asked if I wanted to talk to her. I said no. Tell her my lawyer will contact her. Derek relayed the message. That is when it seemed to hit her that I was serious, that I was not coming back, that her words had consequences she had not anticipated. 2 months after I left, I got an offer from a major tech company in Seattle. The salary was almost double what I had been making. I accepted immediately. I found an apartment near the water, a small one-bedroom with a view of the city. I packed up the few things I had brought to Derek's and drove north to start over. Seattle was cold and rainy, but I did not mind. It felt like a cleanse, like the weather was washing away everything that had happened. I threw myself into my new job. The work was challenging, engaging exactly what I needed. I joined a hiking club and started exploring the trails around the city every weekend. I met people who did not know my story, who did not look at me with pity. I was just Russell, a guy who liked coding and mountains and good coffee. I started teaching a coding boot camp for beginners on Saturday mornings. Helping other people learn something I loved gave me purpose again. Months passed. I made friends. Real friends who invited me to dinner parties and game nights. I started dating casually, nothing serious, just reminding myself what it felt like to have conversations that did not end in arguments. And one morning, I woke up in my apartment, made coffee, and realized I had not thought about Amanda in days. Not once. The weight that had been sitting on my chest for so long was gone. I could breathe again. The divorce was finalized 6 months after I left. It was clean, straightforward. We split our assets, signed the papers, and that was it. Derek told me later that Amanda and Travis did not last. Apparently, whatever they had fell apart once it was not a secret anymore. She tried reaching out to me one more time after that, a short email saying she was working on herself, going to therapy, figuring out who she was. I did not respond. There was nothing left to say. I do not feel angry anymore. I do not feel bitter. I just feel free. Because here is what I learned through all of this. Walking away is not giving up. It is not weakness. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is recognize when something is broken beyond repair and have the courage to let it go. Amanda thought I would fall apart without her. She thought I needed her more than I needed my self-respect. She was wrong. I built a new life, a better life, one where I am not walking on eggshells, not questioning my reality, not settling for scraps of attention from someone who stopped valuing me. I wake up every day in a city I love, doing work I am proud of, surrounded by people who actually care. And that is something she will never be able to take away from me. She told me to leave if I was insecure. So I left. And I found out that I was not insecure at all. I just knew what I deserved. And it was not her. So here is my question for you. Have you ever walked away from something that was hurting you, even though it was terrifying? Drop your answer in the comments. I would love to hear your stories. And if this resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more real stories about finding strength in difficult times. Share this with someone who might need to hear it today. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope wherever you are choosing yourself. You deserve that. Take care.